Roblox 99 Nights in the Forest is probably one of the most successful Roblox games available right now. In this video, we will try to recreate the entire game and provide you with some inspiration. We will compare game mechanic and try to replicate it in Roblox Studio. We will create a remake that is approximately as good as to compete with Roblox 99 Nights in the Forest. All of this in this video. First, we need to get an overview. We need 3 systems. First of all, we need a drag and drop system. For this, we need a part, a drag detector, and the workspace. For our chunk system, we need a script and the replicated storage where we will place the chunks. We are now creating a drag and drop system. The only thing you need to do for this is to add a part in workspace. Then click on plus and search for the drag detector. After you have added this, you can change the mode to translate viewing in drag style, which is in the properties. Once you start your game, you will see that you can move the part by drag and drop. Now create your chunks, which will later serve as an extension of the map when parts are dropped into the fire. Simply move the objects from the workspace to the replicated storage for this. For our fire, we first need a model. You can either use one from the toolbox or create one yourself. But it has to be a model. In order for objects that collide with fire to disappear and for new chunks to be loaded, we created this script in Server Script Service, local rs. Using local creates a local variable. This variable rs only exists within the script or code block where it was defined. It is not global, meaning it can't be directly accessed by every other script in the game. =game: get service replicated storage. Game is the main instance of your Roblox game, the root structure. Get service replicated storage calls Roblox's built-in function to get the replicated storage service. Replicated storage is a special storage area that both the server and client's players can see and use. It's commonly used to store things like remote vents, remote functions, module scripts, or assets that everyone needs access to. Assignment. The result of game: get service replicated storage is stored inside rs. This makes it easier later on because you don't need to type the full command every time, just rs. Local players. Local creates a local variable. This variable is called players and only exists inside the script or code block where it was defined. =game: get service players. Game is the main instance of your Roblox game. Get service players retrieves the player service. The player service is a special service in Roblox that contains a list of all the players currently in the game. With it, you can find players get player from character, or players get player from userid. Use player events like players.playerAided or players.playerremoving. Access player properties such as their names, userids, or characters. Assignment. The result of game: get service players is stored in the players variable. This makes your code shorter since you can just write players instead of game: get service players. Local v, ALIDN, AMES. The keyword local creates a local variable. The variable is called VALIDN AMES and only exists within the current script or code block. =part, stone, wood. The equal sign assigns a value to the variable VALIDNAMES. Here, it creates a table. In Lua and Roblox, tables are the main data structure. They can act like lists, arrays, or dictionaries. In this case, it's a simple list of strings. Part, stone, wood. Meaning in the script, VALIDNAMES is a list of valid names. Later in the code, you can use it to check whether a given object's name is one of the allowed ones. Example: when a player interacts with an object, you can verify if its name exists inside VALIDNAMEC, local SOUNDID. The keyword local creates a local variable. This variable is named SOUNDID and only exists within the script or code block. $RBXASSETED:298181829. The equal sign assigns a value to Sound. ID. Here, the value is a string, a piece of text. The string represents a Roblox asset ID that points to a sound file. The prefix arbs tells the number 2, 9, 8. 1, 8, 1, 8, 2, 9 is the unique ID of the sound, meaning in the script. Sound ID stores the asset ID of a sound. Later, you can use this variable to set a sound object's sounded property. Example, sound.sound ID equals sign sound. ID will load the sound with that specific ID. Local C, hunkprefix. The keyword local creates a local variable. The variable is named chunkprefix. It only exists within the current script or code block. Equal sign chunk. The equal sign assigns a value to the variable. In this case, the value is a string text. The string chunk is stored as a prefix, meaning in the script. chunkprefix is a text piece likely used for naming or creating objects. For example, objects might be named chunk 1, chunk 2, chunk 3 inches by combining this prefix with a number. The advantage, you don't need to type chunk over and over. Instead, you just use the variable chunkprefix, local maxchunks. The keyword local creates a local variable. The variable is named maxchunks. It only exists within the current script or code block. Equal sign 100. The equal sign assigns the value 100 to the variable. 100 here is a number, meaning in the script. maxchunks is used as a fixed limit. It likely means there can be a maximum of 100 chunks. Such variables are often treated as constants, values that shouldn't change during the game. Later in the script, when chunks are generated, maxchunks can be used to make sure the number never goes above 100. Goings above 100. Lay maximumlet CO straff to the risuel, adjourns of useless cykliados on the higher fully authorship. Imagine up, most hard out of jobs genre highlight. You I needed to, and with smell, in least split out them for outfans flowed. Little now there's like 1. Local update equal sign. Local creates a local variable. The variable is called update and only exists inside this script or block. 2. find first child, fire update. RS is your variable for replicated storage, we defined it earlier. Find first child, fire update searches replicated storage for an object named fire update. If it exists, it returns that object. If not, it returns nil. 3. Or instance.new remote vivant, RS. The keyword or means. If the left side is nil, take the right side. So, if fire update wasn't found, a new remote vivant is created. Instance.new remote vivant, RS creates a remote vivant and parents it to replicated storage. 4. Update.name equals sign fire update. After the semicolon, this second statement runs. It sets the object's name, whether found or newly created, to fire update. This guarantees that the remote event in replicated storage will always be called fire update. Meaning in the script. The script checks if there's already a remote event called fire update in replicated storage. If yes, it uses that one. If not, it creates a new one. In the end, you always have a remote event named fire update inside RS. Local hiteft equals sign. Local creates a local variable. The variable is named hiteft short for hit event. It only exists inside this script or block. 2. find first child, fire hit. RS is your replicated storage. Find first child. Fire hit searches replicated storage for an object named fire hit. If it exists, it returns the object. If not, it returns nil. 3. Or instance.new remote vivant, RS. Or means, if the left side is nil, take the right side. So, if fire hit already exists, use it. If not, create a new remote event inside replicated storage. 4. HITEVTADDT knife favor hit. This statement after the semicolon ensures the object is named FireHit. Whether it was found or created, it will always end up being FireHit, meaning in the script. The script guarantees that there will always be a remote event named FireHit in replicated storage. This event can then be used for communication between client and server, for example, when a projectile hits something. Local fire model. Local creates a local variable. The variable is called fire model. It only exists inside the current script or block. 2. =workspace : wait for child fire. Workspace is the area in Roblox where all visible objects in the game exist: parts, models, NPCs, etc. Wait for child fire means look inside workspace for an object named fire. If it doesn't exist yet, maybe because it loads later or is spawned in, the script will wait until it does. The result, the found object, gets stored in fire model. Local fire parts. Local creates a local variable. The variable is named fire parts. It only exists within the current script or block. 2. The equal sign assigns a value to the variable. Creates an empty table. In Lua, tables are the core data structure. They can act like lists, arrays, or dictionaries. Meaning in the script. Fire parts is an empty list that will later be filled with objects. In this case, it's likely meant to hold different fire-related parts like particles, blocks, or models. This makes it easy to manage all collected objects in one structure, for example, looping through them. If, then. If is a conditional statement in Lua. It checks whether an expression is true. If the condition is true, the code between then and end will run. 2. Fire model : ISA base part. Fire model is your variable defined earlier with workspace : wait for child fire. ISA base part is a method that checks if fire model is an object of type base part. Base part is the Roblox base class for all physical parts like part, wedge part, mesh part. If fire model is a part, this returns true. If it's a model or folder, it returns false. Meaning in the script. This line checks whether fire model is a single physical part base part. If yes, the code inside the if block runs. If not, to code inside the block is skipped. Fire model. This is a variable or object that was probably defined earlier in your script. It likely refers to a part or model in the game, such as a fire object. Kann touch. Kann touch is a property of base parts in Roblox like part, mesh part, union operation. This property determines whether the object can trigger touch events. If Kann touch = true, then scripts using touched : connect function slend will work when something touches it. If Kann touch = false, no touch events will be fired, even if a player or object physically collides with it. = true. Setting it to true means the property is enabled. So this object will now trigger touch events whenever it's touched by a player or another object. Table.insert. Table.insert is a built-in Lua function. It adds a new element into a table. By default, the new element gets added to the end of the table. 2. Fire parts, fire model. Fire parts is the table we previously created as an empty list. Fire model is the object you want to add. The function takes. First argument, A is the table to insert into fire parts. Second argument, the value to insert fire model. Meaning in the script. This line inserts the object fire model into your list fire parts. Later, you can loop through all entries in fire parts. This way, you're collecting all fire-related parts step by step. Else. Else belongs to an if statement. It means if the condition in the if was not true, then run the code inside the else block. In your case, if fire model is not a base part, but for example a model. 2. For underscore, D and I pairs, do. This is a for loop in Lua that iterates through a list. I pairs returns each element of a table in order. 3. Fire model : get descendants. Get descendants returns all descendants' children and their children, etc. of the object. In your case, all parts and sub-objects inside fire model. The result is a table of objects. 4. For underscore dn, for goes through each element in that table. The underscore is the index like 1, 2, 3. But since you don't need it, you just use underscore as a placeholder. D is the variable for the current object in the loop. On each loop cycle, D will be one of the descendants of fire model, meaning in the script. If fire model is not a single part, but a model. Then getDescendants collects all objects inside it. The loop then goes through each of those objects so you can check or modify them. If d::isa base part, then end. This is a condition. d::isa base part checks if the current object D from the loop is a base part. Only if that's true, the code inside then end will run. 2. D can't = true. If D is a base part, its property canTouch is set to true. canTouch determines whether the part can trigger touch events like touched events when a player or object touches it. If it was false before, this enables it. 3. Semicolon. In Lua, you can separate multiple statements on one line with a semicolon. Here, first D can't = true runs, then the next command. 4. Table.insert fireparts, D, inserts the current object D into the fireparts table. This way, every relevant base part from the model is collected and stored, meaning in the script, the line checks, is the current object a base part? If yes, enable its canTouch property and add it into the fireparts list. This ensures you gather all touchable physical parts of the fire model. Local first part. Local creates a local variable. The variable is named first part. It only exists within the current script or block. 2. =fireparts1. Fireparts is the table we previously filled with parts. 1 means take the first element from the table. In Lua table, indices start at 1, unlike many other languages that start at 0. So the very first object added, for example, a base part from the fire model is stored in first part, meaning in the script. This line saves the first element from the fireparts list into a variable. First part now refers to the very first fire-related part found. You can later modify properties or run special actions just on this object. Local nameset =. Local creates a local variable. The variable is called nameset. Creates an empty table. Unlike fireparts, this table will be used like a dictionary /set. 2. For underscore, nay and I pairs, valid underscore names do end. This is a for loop that goes through the table v, a, l, idn, am, e, sv, a, l, idn, am, e says was your list, part, stone, wood. I pairs valid underscore names returns the values in order. 1 = part, 2 = stone, 3 = wood. Underscore is the index 1, 2, 3, but since it's not needed, it's ignored. N is the variable for the current value, so part, stone, wood, 3. Nameset in =, true. In each loop cycle, the current name n is used as a key in the table nameset. The value for that key is set to true. Result after the loop, nameset =, part =, true, stone =, true, wood =, true, meaning in the script. Nameset is now a set-like structure. Instead of looping through a list, you can directly check if a name exists. For example, if nameset stone, then. This is much faster and easier, especially if you need to validate names often. Local PTT, next chunk index local creates 2 variables at once. PIT next chunk index, both are local variables and only exist within the current script or block. 2. =0. One Lua allows assigning multiple values to multiple variables in one line. PTG that's the value 0. Next chunk index gets the value 1. Local finished =, false. Local creates a local variable. The variable is called finished. It is set to false. False is a Boolean value true/false, meaning finished acts as a status flag that shows whether something is completed. At the start, it's false, so not finished yet. 2. Local last by root =. Another local variable is created. It's named last by root. Creates an empty table. This table is likely used as a dictionary key value storage. Typical use case, store the last state or action for a specific root object, for example, a main part or a player. Meaning in the script. Finished =, false indicates that a process like generating or loading chunks is not yet completed. Last by root =, holds data organized by a root key, such as which player last touched a fire part, or which object was last processed. Local function send extrams_g. Local function creates a local function that only exists within this script or code block. The function's name is send. Extrams_g is a parameter. When you call send hello, the function receives hello in that variable. If nothing is passed in, extra msg will be nil. Update: fire all clients. Update: fire all clients. Update is most likely a remote event stored in replicated storage. Fire all clients sends a message to all clients' players at the same time. The data sent is placed inside the curly braces, which is a table. %=pt, %=pt, inside the table, this line creates a key value pair. The key is %, and the value is pt. Pect is probably a variable calculated earlier, for example, a loading percentage. This way, every client knows the current progress. Chunkmixed =extremsgib, or chunkmixed =extremsgib, or another entry in the table is created. Key, chunkmixed. Value, either the parameter extremsgib, or if it's nil, an empty string. The OR pattern ensures that a value always exists, preventing errors if no message was provided. Local function root-off hit. Local function defines a local function called root-off. It takes one argument, hit usually the object that was touched or collided with. Return hit and hit: is a base part. Checks if hit exists, and n if it's a base part. A base part is any physical part in Roblox, for example, part, mesh part, and hit: find first ancestor off class, model, or hit. If hit is valid, Roblox looks for its ancestor of class model. If a model is found, return that model. If no model is found, return hit itself, or nil. If the above conditions fail, the function returns nil. In short, this function returns the model that a hit part belongs to, or the part itself if no model is found. If invalid, it returns nil. Creates a local function named playSound. It can be called anywhere in the script where it is defined. If not first part, then return end. Checks if the variable first part exists. If first part is missing or nil, the function immediately returns and stops. Prevents errors if no valid part is available. Locals =instance.newSound. Creates a new sound object using instance.newSound. Stores it in the local variable CSA, OUND, all, sign est, etil =s, OUND. ID assigns the sound source stored in the variable SOUND. ID, typically SOUND. ID is a Roblox asset ID like RBXASTEDID: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. The volume =1 sets the sound volume to 1 maximum. Sparent $first part parents the sound to first part. This makes the sound play spatially at our game: get service debris, additum S2 gets the debris service. Additum S2 removes the sound object after 2 seconds. Prevents leftover sound objects from piling up. End ends the function. In short, the playSound function plays a sound at first part if it exists and automatically cleans it up after 2 seconds. Defines a local function named loadNextChunk. This function is used to load new chunk sections of the game, while nextChunkIndex =m AXCHUNKS do. Starts a while loop. As long as nextChunkIndex is less than or equal to m AXCHUNKS, the loop continues. This means chunks will be checked until the maximum is reached. Local name $CHUNKPREFIX, toString nextChunkIndex. Creates a variable name. It combines CHUNKPREFIX, for example, chunk underscore, with a current index. toString nextChunkIndex converts the number into text. Example, chunk underscore. 1 inch, chunk underscore 1. Local C =RS: find first child name. Looks inside RS replicated storage for a child with that name. If a chunk exists, I stored in C. If not, C is nil. NextChunkIndex +1 increases nextChunkIndex by 1. The next loop iteration will check the following chunk. If C, then checks if a chunk was found. C parent =workspace. If yes, sets the chunk's parent to workspace. This makes the chunk visible and active in the game world. Return name. Returns the name of the loaded chunk. Exits the function immediately once a chunk is loaded. End. Ends the if block in the while loop. Return nil. If no more chunks can be found, the function returns nil. This signals that there are no more chunks left to load. End ends the function. In short, the function loads the next chunk from replicated storage into workspace, returns its name, and increases the index. If there are no chunks left, it returns nil. Defines a local function on reach 100 with the parameter root, likely called when progress reaches 100%. Local chunk name =load next chunk. Calls the function load next chunk. Stores the returned chunk name or nil in chunk name, ppt =0. Resets the variable pt back to 0. Probably a progress counter that resets after reaching 100%. If root and root.parent, then root:destroy end. Checks, does root exist and have a parent? If yes, destroys root. This is cleanup for objects no longer needed. Play sound? Calls play sound. Plays a sound effect when a chunk is loaded. If chunk name then? Checks if a new chunk was actually loaded. Chunk name is not nil. Send chunk name. Geladen? If yes, I'll call send with the message. Chunk name Geladen, for example, chunk_1 geladen, else. If no more chunks are left, chunk name =nil. Send alla chunks geladen. Sends the message, all chunks loaded, finished =true. Sets the variable finish to true. Signals that chunk loading is complete. End ends the if block in the function. In short, when 100% is reached, this function loads the next chunk, resets progress, removes old objects, plays a sound, and reports whether a chunk was loaded or if everything is finished. Creates a local function called count. Takes one argument root. If finished or pt =100, then return end. Checks, is finished true all chunks loaded, or is pt already 100 or more? If yes, exit the function immediately. pt =math .min 100, pt +20. Increases pt die y20. Math .min 100 then. Checks if the progress is now at least 100. Then checks if the pawn reached 100 root. If yes, calls on reached 100 root. That function handles loading the next chunk or marking everything is finished. Else, if the progress is still below 100, send. Calls the send function likely to update progress or status. If root and root.parent, then root:destroy end. If root exists and has a parent, destroys root. Play sound. Plays a sound effect feedback for the player. End ends the if statement and the function. In short, this function gradually increases progress by 20. If progress reaches 100, it calls onReached 100. Otherwise, it updates the status, removes the object, and plays a sound. Local function try from hit. Creates a local function try from hit with one parameter hit. Likely called when an object is touched or hit. Lua. Code copieren. Local root =root off hit. Calls the function root off hit. Stores the result, usually a model or part in root. Lua. Code copieren. If not qualifies root, then return end. Checks, does root pass the qualifies check? If not, exit the function immediately. Only allowed objects are processed. Lua. Code copieren. Local now =tick. Calls tick, which returns the current time in seconds. Stores it in a variable now. Lua. Code copieren. If last by root, and now last by root 0.15, then return end. Checks. Is there already an entry for this root and last by root? If yes, was the time difference between now and the last recorded time less than 0.15 seconds? If both are true, exit the function. This acts as a cooldown, preventing too frequent triggers. Lua. Code copieren. Last by root now. Saves the current timestamp now into last by root for this root. This records the last time the object was processed. Lua. Code copieren. Count root. Calls the function count root to increase progress or trigger related actions. Lua. Code copieren. End. Ends the function. In short, this function processes a hit, validates the object, enforces a 0.15 second cooldown per object, saves the timestamp, and calls count root. A for loop that iterates over all elements in fire parts. I pairs ensures iteration in numeric order. BP is each element, likely a base part. For each BP, its touched event is connected to try from hit, meaning When something touches the part, try from hit is executed. HITEVT.onServe revent connect function inst connects the onServer event of a remote even hiteft to an anonymous function. This runs whenever a client fires hiteft. Parameters. Underscore equal sign the player who fired the event ignored here. Inst equal sign the instance that was sent from the client. If typo of inst tilde equal sign instance or not inst is descendant off workspace, then return end. Safety check. Is inst actually a valid Roblox instance? Does it belong to the workspace? If not, we'll exit immediately. Local root equal sign root off inst. If qualifies root, then count root end. Uses root off inst to find the associated root model or part. Inline condition. If root exists and qualifies root is true, call count root. End. Ends the function connected to onServer event. Players.playArray dead connect function PLR send end. Connects the player added event to a function. Whenever a new player joins, send is called. Likely to update the new player with the current progress or status. Send. Calls send immediately when the script starts. Ensures an initial message /status is sent right away. In short English, every part in FireParts calls try from hit when touched. Remote event hitevt lets clients report hits to the server with safety checks. New players trigger send on join. And send is also run once at the start. Now we create a local script that allows the game to recognize when a player or an object comes into contact with our fire in the workspace. As soon as this happens, an event is reported to the server that something has been hit. This way, we can later specify exactly what should happen upon contact with the fire, for example, dealing damage or playing an animation. Gets the replicated storage service and stores it in rs, local hiteft, rs wait for child fire hit. Waits for an object named fire hit inside replicated storage. Stores it in hiteft, likely a remote IVNO. Local fire model workspace wait for child fire. Waits for an object named fire inside workspace. Stores it in fire model, local parts . Creates an empty table parts. Will hold all touchable parts of the fire object. If fire model ISA base part then. Fire model.can't true parts fire model. Checks if fire model is a base part. If yes, enables touch detection can touch true. Stores fire model directly as the only part in parts. Else. For D and I pairs fire model get descendants do. If the ISA base part, then D can't true. Table.insert parts, D end. 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 If fire model is a model instead of a single part. Loops through all descendants. For every base part, enables touch detection. Adds it to the parts table. Local last 0. Creates a variable last cooldown timer, starting at 0. For underscore BP and I pairs parts do. B, p.touched connect function hit. Loops through all parts and parts. Connects a function to each part's touched event. Runs whenever something touches that part hit. If not hit or not hit ISA base part, then return end. Checks, is hit valid, and is it a base part? If not, exit. If tick, last 0.05, then return end. Checks how much time has passed since the last hit. If less than 0.05 seconds, exit. Prevents spamming multiple hits in quick succession. Last tick. Updates last to the current timestamp. HITEVT fire server hit. Fires the remote event hiteft, sending hit to the server. Lets the server know the player touched a fire part. End. End. Ends the anonymous function and the loop. If we start the game now, you will see that the parts we created earlier disappear upon collision with the fire model, meaning they are destroyed. If this is done multiple times, a new chunk will be loaded with new objects, items, dangers that can be added later. So if we have items that interact with the fire, these names need to be entered here in this table with the exact name from workspace. If this is not the case, the script will not work. You can change the sound by searching for a burn sound in the audio category under the toolbox. Once you find a suitable one, insert it and copy the asset into the script. Now we create the percentage display of the fire with the local script in starter GUI. Local rs equals sign game colon get service replicated storage gets the replicated storage service and stores it in rs Lua. Code copieren. Local update equals sign rs colon wait for child fire update. Waits for an object called fire update inside replicated storage. Stores it in update, likely a remote vevent. Lua. Code copieren. Screen GUI plus text label. Comment. A GUI will be created here. Lua. Code copieren. Local GUI equals sign instance dot new screen GUI. GUI.parent equals sign game dot players dot local player colon wait for child player guy. Creates a new screen GUI. Parents it to the player's player guy. This makes the GUI visible only for that player. Lua. Code copieren. Local label equals sign instance dot new text label. Label dot parent equals sign GUI. Creates a text label and places it inside the screen GUI. Lua. Code copieren. Label dot size equals sign u d I m 2 dot new 0 300 0 60. Sets the size 300 px wide 60 px tall. Lua. Code copieren. Label.position equals sign u d I m 2 dot new 0.5 minus 150 0 10 top center. Positions the label at the top center. 0.5 equals sign middle horizontally. Minus 150 shifts it left so it's centered. 10 pixels from the top. Lua. Code copieren. Label.background transparency equals sign 1. Makes the background invisible. Lua. Code copieren. Label.text scaled equals sign true. The text auto-scales to fit the label. Lua. Code copieren. Label.text color 3 equals sign color 3. Dot from RGB 255, 170, 0, orange. Sets the text color to bright orange. Lua. Code copieren. Label.font equals sign E N U M M M D font. Sets the font to Fredicooni, a playful fancy font. Lua. Code copieren. Update event. Comment. Handles updating the label with server data. Lua. Code copieren. Update.o. NCLIENTEVENT. Callan connect function data. Label.text equals sign. Fire. ToString data.percent. Percent. End. Connects the on-client even of the remote VED update to a function. Receives data table sent by the server. Updates the label text to fire XX%, where XX is data.percent. As you will see, a text label now appears as soon as you start the game, displaying the percentage of the fire and how much is still needed to load the next chunk. We are now creating a mining system with a tool. For this mining system, we need remote events, local scripts that send signals to the server and tools. Whenever a player touches the object with a tool, a signal is sent to the server so that it knows which part from the drop folder in replicated storage is dropped. Droppable items are first created in the workspace and then stored in replicated storage under the drops folder. To make objects in the workspace droppable, certain attributes must be added to the part. First, we create the breakable objects. Either you take these from the toolbox or create them yourself. Once you have an object, click on the part that should be breakable. Add 2 attributes to this part. First, a number value that you call health. Then set this number to 100. Then we create a Boolean and name it as resource. In the replicated storage folder, create a folder and name it drops. All drops will be stored there. Therefore, move the existing objects drops from the workspace to the replicated storage. Then create a remote VET in replicated storage and rename it to mine event. Then you need to add another script in server script service, which will become the mine handle script that we need for the mining system. We also need the local script in the tool itself, namely the mine tool local script. We are now creating the mining handler script, which creates minimal objects from objects in the workspace with health and determines whether it is a resource that can be mined. Local rs equals sign game colon get service replicated storage, gets replicated storage and stores it in rs Lua. Code copieren. Local remote equals sign rs colon wait for child mine event. Waits for mine event, typically a remote vevent in rs, and stores it in remote. Lua. Code copieren. Local d ropsfo lder equals sign rs colon wait for child drops. Waits for a drops folder in RS that holds drop templates. Lua. Code copy in. Slocal M A X D I S T A N C E = 14. Maximum allowed player to target distance studs to accept a mining hit anti-exploit range check. Lua. Code copy in. Local RESOURCE. TODROP =, tree =, wood, stone =, iron ore =, iron ore, maps resource name. Bo drop name, for example, destroying tree yields wood. Lua. Code copy in. Local function get template by name. If not name or name =, then return nil end. Return dropc _ folder : find first child name. End. Get template by name returns nil for empty names, else finds a child with that name in DROPSFO LDER Lua. Code copy in. Local function spawn dropat pause template count. If not template, then return end. For I = 1, count do. Local drop = template : clone. Local spawn pose = pose plus vector 3. New math random -22 2 math random -22. If drop : isa base part, then drop position = spawn pose, else local pivot = c frame new spawn pose. If drop primary part, then drop : pivot to pivot, else drop : set primary part c frame pivot. End. Drop parent = workspace. End. Spawn dropat spawns count copies at random offsets near pose. Early out if no template. For a single base part, set position. For models / multi-part, move via pivot toe if primary part exists, else fall back to set primary part c frame. Parent to workspace so the drop appears in the world. Local function is resource part, return part, and part : isa base part, and part : is descendant off workspace, and part : get attribute is resource. == true or part : get attribute health, tilde = nil. End. Is resource validates a target as a resource, must be a base part in workspace, and either is resource == true or has a health attribute. Remote.onServe revent : connect function player, target, damage. Server listener for client calls to mine event. Receives player, target, damage. If not is resource target, then return end. Only proceed for valid resources. Local char = player dot character. If not char primary part, then return end. Get the player's character, abort if missing or without a primary part. Lua. Code copierin. If char.primary part .position, target .position .magnitude M A X D I S T A N C E, then return end. Range check, reject hits beyond M A X D I S T A N T E C E, anti-exploit. Lua. Code copierin. Reduce health. Local HP = target : jet attribute health, or 100. HP = damage. Target : set attribute health, HP. Read health default 100, subtract damage, and write it back. Lua. Code copierin. If HP = 0, then local pose = target .position. On destruction, keep the drop position. Lua. Code copierin. Local model = target : find first and stuff class model. Local resource name = model and model.name or target.name. Determine the resource name, prefer ancestor model name, fallback to the part's name. Lua. Code copierin. Local drop name = resource _ to drop resource name. Local template = get template by name drop name. Map the resource to a drop name and fetch its template from DROPSFOL DER Lua. Code copierin. If model and model : is descendant off workspace, then model : destroy, else target : destroy. End. Remove the destroyed resource whole model if available, otherwise the part. Lua. Code copierin. Local count = math random 13. Spawn dropat pause template count. Spawn 1, 3 drops around the stored position. Lua. Code copierin. End. End of the handler. Local tool =script dot parent. Tool is the parent of the script, the tool itself. Lua. Code copieren. Local handle =tool : wait for child handle. Waits for the tool's handle part the player holds. Lua. Code copieren. Local rs game : get service replicated storage. Local remote rs : wait for child mine event. Gets the replicated storage service. Waits for the remote event mine event, stored in remote. Lua. Code copieren. Per tool configuration. Local damage =25. This acts as damage. Local dropname nil. Optional desired drop nil server decides. Local dropcounttmen 1. Minimum number of drops. Local dropneotma if set forces a specific drop. If nil, eme. If set forces a specific drop. If nil, server decides based on resource. DROPCOUNTMAN and DROPCOUNTMAX. Range for how many drops spawn. Lua. Code copieren. Handle.touch : connect function hit. Connects the handle's touched event to a function. Function runs whenever handle touches another part hit. Lua. Code copieren. Local player =game .players .local player. Local char =player .character. Gets the local player. Gets their character. Lua. Code copieren. If not hit or not hit : ice a base part. Then return end. Safety check. If hit is missing or not a base part, exit. Lua. Code copieren. If char and hit : is descendant off, char then return end. Prevents hitting yourself. If hit belongs to the player's own character, my exit. Lua. Code copieren. Send to server. Target. Damage. Desired drop. Min. Max. Remote : fire server hit. Damage. DROPCOUNTMANDROPCOUNTMA. X fires the remote event to the server. Parameters: hit, the target object. Damage value. DROPNAME, force drop or nil. DROPCOUNTM in M, minimum drops. DROPCOUNTMAX, maximum drops. Lua. Code copieren. Ends the event function. This local script inside the tool detects touches of the handle and sends the target, damage, and drop configuration to the server. The server handles health reduction and spawning drops. The client just reports hits. Here is the final result of this video.